Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to Business Innovators Radio. This is your host, Constant Taylor. Today, we have a very special guest on the show, and they're going to share some very exciting information with us. So, if you're looking to increase your personal and professional effectiveness in online marketing, then you've come to the right place. Our special guest today is Heather Lutze. Heather has been speaking professionally for over 5 years, and the content that she primarily covers is online internet marketing, SEO, and findability. She's based out of Denver, Colorado, and her books include the Findability Formula, Social Media Findability, and she has a new book coming out soon called Marketing Espionage: How to Leverage Competitive Intelligence to Dominate. Heather, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm a pleasure to be here.
And we're glad to have you. Now, I'd like to kick off the show by asking you if you could tell the listeners a little bit about your business and how you help people increase their effectiveness with online marketing.
Sure. And I really hate being in the category of online marketing because I think it's drenched with a lot of dread and misunderstanding and expense. And so I like to think of myself as a findability expert, and often known as SEO, search engine optimization, but it's also a very scary word for most business owners, maybe full of negative issues they've had with other SEO professionals. So findability for me is really about connecting with customers, whether it be through social or blogging or website, when they are ready to buy. Like you knew them, you knew what they needed, and you were able to provide content to connect with them when they needed you.
Okay, excellent. So then, these are products where there is a ready market. Customers who are looking to possibly build a new market where their product or service is not well known may not find the findability useful to them.
Yeah, well, it can be useful if leveraged the correct way. But if they work with SEO agencies or marketing agencies that try to apply generic principles to all the same kinds of customers, then it's just riddled with disappointment. And so I run an organization called Findability University, and we empower executives and business owners to actually do this themselves. And if they can do it, you don't have to be super nerds or to know every line of the Google algorithm to be able to do this. It's just about knowing your customers so well and knowing what frustrates them, what they complain about, when do they need to make a switch, right? I mean, we don't really want to talk to people when they're not ready to change. Mm-hmm. We only want people who are ready to make a new decision, to move in a different direction, to hire a different service provider or buy a new product. So I would love to say that the business owners can just outsource SEO, write a check every month, make it go away. But what I find is that the more the business owners and their teams get engaged, the better the SEO is over time. So that's really why I do what I do every day, why I get out of bed every morning, is because I really want to dispel the whole negativity around SEO.
Okay. Well, the SEO market has evolved substantially since its inception. What does the Findability Formula, what's contained in that formula?
You know, the formula is really about 3 components, and we talk about this in my new book, Marketing Espionage. So spy on yourself, spy on your competitors, and then spy on your customers. So what I mean by that is first of all, before you can ever start in a marketing endeavor online, you need to understand what's already in play for your own site. Does Google value it? Is it technically sound? Is there any tweaks you could make to your website to make it super credible? Google's not going to rank a website, I don't care how beautiful it looks, if it's not technically sound. It's just too big of a risk for Google. So that's level 1. And you know where you're starting, so you know how to measure performance over time if you're going to, dive into a search marketing effort. Level 2 is spy on your competitors. Why do we have to keep reinventing the wheel? If you know there are 2 or 3 people that are really killing it in the marketplace, why not run some competitive intelligence tools? I use a wonderful tool called SEM Rush, and that's Sam Edward Michael RUSH.com. And it is a competitive intelligence tool that allows you to put in a domain name of a competitor and see all the organic keywords and pages they rank for. And what percentage of traffic do those competitors get from those phrases? So, I think the hardest thing is understanding what's already working in the marketplace for you. And so that tool is incredible. And then the final one is now you've got to understand the needs of the customer. And how do you adjust your website and your content to meet very specific requests of Google and very specific requests of the searcher? So that's the 3 levels. So spy on yourself, spy on your competitors, and ultimately spy on your customers in a good way, So you can market to them in a way that's super meaningful.
So how does Findability play with SEO and PPC, pay-per-click, or ad with Google?
Sure. I worked for years for Yahoo Search Marketing. Some of you might remember Yahoo. I did all their $1 million advertiser training. So I trained all the people who were spending over $1 million a month in paid search advertising. So, paid search is a rich man's game for sure. And it is part of the overall mix. But most business owners have a very negative opinion of paid search. Why should I pay for organic ranking when I already deserve to be there? Because they don't want to pay for the clicks. But ultimately, they will pay for those clicks, whether they do an SEO project or they do a paid search. So, what I always tell customers is, first of all, look at home, look at your website, make sure that is optimized first. Then go in and test some limited keywords in paid search based on performance. Set a realistic budget that you feel like you are willing to test with. Know it's going to take a good 3 to 6 months to really get it off the ground. For paid search specifically, it takes a long time to build up quality with Google and quality score through paid search, which is kind of nerd talk for, are you doing it right? Are you doing good work?
Mm-hmm.
And then to add on there, the final tier of our beautiful findable cake here is blogging and social engagement. So fix your house, get that in order, then think about doing some testing in paid search. And don't forget that blogging and social media are key algorithmic signals for Google. So you can't leave that out.
Okay, excellent. Now let's transition to social media findability. Can you talk about the components that are related to that and how that entwines with the total findability formula?
Sure. So my second book, Thumbnomics, like your thumbs, those thumbing all over the place. That book is the essential business roadmap to social media and mobile marketing. And so what that means is if you want, it's funny because now they're talking about thumb stops. And a thumb stop is when you're on a mobile device and you're moving through content and you stop. You move, you stop. You move, you stop. And so they're actually talking about those key triggers are thumb stops. And so I like to think about, moving from a search mindset to a social mindset, but also remembering that they're stopping on their mobile devices and they are engaging. 40% of all user traffic to Google is through mobile devices. So it's important to understand that a mobile engagement is as valuable or more valuable than any desktop engagement, and that every social media site is a search engine. YouTube is the number 2 search engine on the internet. Facebook is a search engine. Twitter is a search engine. So my second book really covers how do I optimize my social content to be findable by methods through social or whatever their social media preference. They can find me there, not just your website, but through social media channels as well.
Now, is there one message that you would like to convey to the listener today? Is typically I will ask if the listener does not understand or get anything else, this is the message that I want them to get. Can you please convey one message to the listeners?
Sure. If you're a small business owner, you know the struggle around online marketing and SEO, and you're not alone. And you have every right to be frustrated and to be maybe not as happy with the performance as you thought. My big takeaway for them today would be that you've probably been too hands off. You didn't really know how to hold them accountable, and writing a check every month probably didn't give you the outcome you'd hoped for. So what I would recommend you do is to reset your expectation around online findability. educate yourself in that process, just to a point where you can pass it off to someone internally. Train an in-house resource to do this for you. Findability University, go to findability.com. You can learn all about what we offer. But at the end of the day, it's about them taking responsibility for a portion of this equation. And no one knows your customers better than they do, better than you do. And you have to take a certain amount of responsibility in that online engagement. It's not something that you can pass off, unfortunately. So my recommendation to business owners listening today is that they're not alone and that they need to rethink the way they've been approaching SEO and findability online. And maybe they need to bring it in-house and be more closely connected to it to make it work.
Okay, excellent. Now, that was my next question is, what's the best way to get in contact with you or your organization if they would like to learn more about your services or engage with you?
Sure. Well, they can Google Findability, and they'll find me, of course. Or they can go to findability.com. And we have a webinar starting in November of this year, but we have a running webinar that starts every 6 weeks, as well as we do live events and we do in-house training as well. We come in and work with your team for the day, and we get them ready to go to manage your search marketing campaigns. So, yeah, that's how you can find us, and we'd love to have you visit and check us out.
Okay, thank you. Well, Heather, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing that very powerful information with us. I appreciate it, and I know the listeners do as well.
That was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.